Super Sonic Phase 2, sacrificed his life to defeat Super Black Scourge and save the lives of his friends in Sonic 4, the movie. Sonic had just defeated the Metal Sonics, but they were merely a distraction. He realized this upon receiving a distress call from his friends. Racing out of the forest at full speed to save them, he arrived in the city completely destroyed. He skidded to a halt on the smooth ground, stunned by what he saw. As Sonic stood and looked upward, he saw another Sonic, levitating, emerging from a portal. But this one was not exactly like him. He was green, wore glasses and a jacket, and was cloaked in a dark purple aura of energy. His face revealed that, unlike Sonic, he was no hero. This was Scourge the Hedgehog. Scourge looked at Sonic with disdain and said, "So you're my counterpart from this dimension? What an insignificant power. I thought the Great Blue Legend would be more impressive." Seeing his intentions, Knuckles, already defeated by Scourge and lying on the ground, warned, "Careful, Sonic. This hedgehog is unlike any enemy we've ever faced. It's as if he doesn't even have a soul." Supporting him, Shadow, also defeated and leaning wounded against a wall, added, "If I were you, Sonic, I'd run. Take Amy Rose with you and find a solution later, for everyone's sake." But for Sonic, retreat was never an option. Fixing his gaze on Scourge, he prepared to fight, even as Amy Rose, like Shadow and Knuckles, cried out, "Please don't do it!" Scourge, floating with his arms crossed, looked at Sonic near Amy and sneered, "Too bad you didn't listen to your little friends. But what else could I expect? Always playing the hero, Sonic. How boring, that's why you'll die." And with that, in the blink of an eye, Scourge appeared right in front of Sonic. With a punch to his stomach, he knocked the wind out of him so hard it felt like he ripped out even what his grandmother had cooked for him. Shadow tried to stand but had no strength, and growling he muttered, "That fool Sonic never listens to advice." But Sonic did not come empty-handed. He had already suspected that the previous enemies, the Metal Sonics, were after the Chaos Emeralds, so he carried them with him to protect them. Now, facing this new enemy, he realized it was not the time to guard them, it was the time to use them. Sonic placed all the emeralds before him in this order: the green Chaos Emerald, the orange, the purple, the red, the blue, the yellow, and the light blue. Staring at them, he declared, "It's time to begin the battle." Scourge, who in truth wanted Sonic to use them, smiled wickedly and said, "Come on, little coward, I don't think you'll dare." He provoked him, while his own body reacted to the emeralds, emanating even more dark purple energy. And though Tails shouted to Sonic, "Careful, it's a trap!" Sonic ignored his friend's warning and decided to take the emeralds. Sonic took the power of the emeralds, and they all began to float around him as their energy poured into his body. Scourge, smiling inwardly, thought, "It seems this fool can reach great power. Too bad for you, it will soon be mine." Suddenly, Sonic burst forth in a golden radiance of power, transforming into Super Sonic. He emerged in a defensive stance, quickly analyzing his attack strategy. But what Sonic did not expect was that Scourge's dark purple energy would begin to influence his body through the Chaos Emeralds. This clouded his mind, preventing him from thinking strategically and forcing him to act on impulse. Indeed, Scourge was right there, provoking him even more as he hovered in front of him, causing Super Sonic to release even greater power. There was no turning back. Even Shadow no longer had the strength to shout warnings to Sonic. Instead, Sonic increased his power further, breaking all limits of the supersonic state and reaching the transformation of Super Sonic Limit Breaker Phase 2.
Hey you! Don't forget subscribe!
Please subscribe to our channel!
Subscribe now!
Scourge hurled himself at Super Sonic with all his power, determined to rip it away by force. Knuckles, Amy Rose, Tails, and Shadow could only think, "It's too late." Now, Scourge's fists, surrounded by a green aura from the Chaos Emeralds draining Sonic's energy, struck with blows that made Sonic's bones tremble. They fought at a speed that felt normal to them, but Knuckles, Amy Rose, Tails, and Shadow couldn't even follow their movements with their eyes. Finally, Super Sonic and Scourge clashed fists, generating a shockwave that sent everyone else flying, leaving only the two of them standing. At that moment, Amy Rose had a vision, the same one she had seen in her own dimension, Sonic lying dead, while all of them mourned before Super Scourge and two other villains. That vision was the reason she had traveled through time and across dimensions to support him. But now, her strength was gone, and she could no longer interfere in the battle. The battle between these two Sonics continued, growing even stronger. The atmosphere was so dense it felt as if even breathing was cut off. Tails screamed at the top of his lungs, begging them to stop, for he knew that if the fight went on, the vision he had seen would become reality. But Sonic and Scourge kept trading punches and kicks without pause. For Sonic, the disadvantage was clear. With every strike Scourge landed, he drained more of Sonic's energy, while growing more powerful himself. Realizing this, Sonic decided to unleash everything. He charged a massive chaos energy beam in his hand and hurled it at Scourge. Yet this was the worst mistake of his life, for instead of taking damage, Scourge absorbed all the energy at once, becoming far more powerful. From the ground, Tails witnessed this and was struck by another vision. Not only Sonic lying lifeless, but Amy Rose, Knuckles, and Shadow shattered on the ground as well. Before them stood the mighty Scourge in a new transformation, flanked by two more villains whose forms appeared only as silhouettes. And then, Tails awoke from this new vision. But for Tails, it was already too late. Super Sonic, without thinking of the consequences, kept raising his own power to sustain the massive chaos beam he was firing at Scourge, unaware that he was digging his own grave. Now Scourge had reached the necessary power to open a new space-time rift connecting to his dimension. From the dark dimension, directly from his planet Moebius, a surge of energy began to pour through the rift. Scourge absorbed it all, allowing him to achieve a new transformation, though it was not yet his final state. Now Scourge had become Black Scourge. A powerful black energy surrounded his entire body. After reaching this state, he absorbed all of Sonic's remaining power, stripping him of his supersonic transformation. Worse still, the chaos energy drained from him was so immense that Sonic was left crawling, his blue fur losing its color. But this was not the worst of it all. Now Black Scourge, with total control over the dark dimension, opened the portal even wider to allow his companions to arrive from his planet Moebius. Soon, an evil Knuckles and an evil Tails emerged. Upon joining Scourge, they spoke directly to Team Sonic and to all present,
Hola a todos,
declaring
por favor,
that
denle
this
like y
was their
suscríbanse.
end.
Sí, únanse a nosotros hoy.
Immediately,
Agradecemos
evil
mucho su
Tails
apoyo.
began draining power
Cuídense.
from Earth's Tails, leaving him weaker and weaker. As his strength faded, Tails remembered the vision in which they all died, and now he realized it was becoming reality. At the same time, evil Knuckles was draining power from Team Sonic's Knuckles until he finally stopped moving altogether. Now Black Scourge, with full dominion over the dark dimension, widened the portal even more to allow his companions to arrive from planet Moebius. Soon, an evil Knuckles and an evil Tails appeared. Standing beside Scourge, they spoke directly to Team Sonic, declaring that this was their end. Evil Tails immediately began draining power from Earth's Tails, leaving him weaker and weaker. As his strength faded, Tails remembered the vision in which they all died, and now he realized it was coming true. At the same time, evil Knuckles drained the power of Team Sonic's Knuckles until he finally stopped moving. But this was not the worst of it. Scourge had already stolen all of Sonic's power, and now he was draining Shadow's as well. This team of villains was becoming invincible. Only Amy Rose remained, badly wounded but untouched. Summoning her last strength, she drew out a time stone, the gem that allowed her to travel through time and dimensions. Channeling its power, she said, "It's time for you to help us, my friend." She shattered the stone, opening an interdimensional portal. From it emerged a new hedgehog who, with a burst of energy, sent Scourge and the evil Knuckles and Tails flying. It was Silver the Hedgehog, Amy Rose's companion, who had been carrying out another part of the mission while Amy was on Earth. Extending his hand toward Team Sonic, Silver infused them with a portion of his power, granting them such immense relief that they regained their strength and stood tall once more. But this was not going to make much difference. Scourge turned to Knuckles and asked, "Did you bring them?" "Of course, Scourge," replied the evil Knuckles, pulling out the Anarchy Barrels, the anti-chaos emeralds with which Scourge would access the super state. Now Scourge declared, "This battle has only just begun, but it will not be pleasant for you. You fight to do what is right, but doing what is right is not enough to defeat us. Remember, This video is nothing more than a theory that I created with much love solely to entertain you. If you want to see more videos like this, please write it in the comments, and soon I will bring you new adventures.